Welcome back to Two Guys, One Sport. I'm Luke. This is John. We're here to break down Week 3, look ahead to Week 4 here in the Big 12. We'll get it started with Oklahoma being the first team to win a conference game as they face off against Iowa State. They won that game 37-27. Kyler Murray put up 343 passing yards and 77 rushing yards as he's really coming out as probably one of the top Heisman candidates in the Big 12. They've looked real good. Iowa State really showed that they could compete in that game. They competed with Iowa and Oklahoma. They're going to be looking ahead to try to get some wins. They are a team that I think can pull off some pretty good upsets here in the Big 12, and we'll see that moving forward.
Moving on, we got the other Oklahoma team, Oklahoma State. They had a very impressive win against the Boise State Broncos. A game that a lot of people had the Broncos coming in and winning, and they won in impressive fashion, 44-21. An all-around great game, and looked to be a springboard into Big 12 play for the Cowboys.
I think that game's going to do a lot for Cornelius' confidence moving ahead of beating a ranked team like Boise State there in Stillwater. We talked about West Virginia last week. Their game was canceled. I hope that's not a game that's going to hurt them in the end, not playing NC State, because I think NC State's one of those teams you can look at as a very quality opponent to play, especially on how they did last year in the ACC. So hopefully West Virginia will not get held too far back, not playing that quality non-conference game. But we'll see what they can do in Week 4.
Yeah, and then we had the big game of the week last week, TCU taking on Ohio State there at Jerry's World in Arlington. And TCU, through about 2.5 quarters, they looked real solid. And going toe-to-toe, they actually looked like they might have been dominating the game, looked like they were dictating the pace. The running game looked really good. The defense was able to slow down Ohio State. Just a couple mistakes, couple miscues by Sean Robinson and that offense. Otherwise, I think TCU could have pulled off that upset.
I'm just looking ahead to see if this is going to be a growing experience for the TCU quarterback, or if we're going to look back on this game and see this is where he lost some of that confidence moving forward. We got Baylor. They played Duke. Their winning streak's over. Ended at 2. They lost that game 40-27. Quarterback question marks remain. Is it going to be Brewer or is it going to be McClendon? Neither one looked outstanding. Brewer was unable to throw a touchdown. Didn't throw any picks. McClendon had one touchdown and 1 pick in that game. They're going to get started with conference play, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this Baylor team is.
Yeah, tough game for the Bears. You would have really liked the Big 12 Conference to get that win. That would have been a nice win. But nonetheless, they kept it close. So moving on, we got K-State, and they took down UTSA and by the score of 41-17. And another impressive showing by the Wildcats. You know, they're still trying to recover from their loss against Mississippi State, but they kind of got back on the right foot going back into conference play.
They're going to be one of those consistent teams that can beat you if you're not ready. They're going to be prepared, and they're going to play decent ball. One of the biggest wins in the Big 12, for me at least, Kansas played Rutgers, and they won that game 55-14. They had 400 team rushing yards against Rutgers. I think you look at Kansas, you know they're going to be a struggling team once they get into conference play, but confidence will do a lot for a team. And Kansas has been a school, they have not had confidence in their football program for many years. And to be able to get those 2 non-conference wins, and it kind of stings that you lose to a team like Nichols to get that 1 loss. But Kansas has got some confidence going into Big 12 play, and I think they might pull a shocker or 2 off in conference play.
Yeah, good for the Jayhawks. Next, we got Texas. They rebounded nice. They took down a ranked USC team at home. Prime time, a lot of big-time people were there, and they showed up. And real proud of Texas, real proud of the Big 12 for getting that win. Sam Ehlinger looked really good. The defense was flying around. And on another note, USC looks like they're really struggling. A lot of people's pick to win the Pac-12. They're not looking too hot right now, but nonetheless, good win for Texas.
See, that was what I looked at in that game. Is it's going to be more of a sign of how good Texas can be, or is that a sign of how bad USC is after a pretty decent year last year? We have Texas Tech winning their game 63-49 against Houston. This is a game I was pretty skeptical about. I really thought Houston coming there probably shut down that offense a little more than they did. Alex Bowman had 605 yards and 5 touchdowns. He broke the freshman school record for passing yards, and Antoine Wesley's really starting to look like a number 1 receiver for the Red Raiders. He had 261 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So that offense is starting to click. The defense is still not as advertised, and they're going to want to improve that a lot going into Big 12 play.
And let's go ahead and take a look at the Week 4 preview. We have Oklahoma. They're taking on the Army Black Knights at home. Should be a pretty easy game. Another game for Kyler Murray to sling it around and make a bunch of highlights. Tough game for the defense, though. The triple option's not fun to prepare for, but Oklahoma, they have the athletes to do it, and if they're focused, they'll get the win easily.
Conference game, Oklahoma State will be playing host to Texas Tech. This is going to be a big game for both these teams. Oklahoma State was tested last week pretty well against Boise State, but Oklahoma State has won 9 straight in this meeting. I know Texas Tech fans are really looking forward to having that chance, but Oklahoma State's going to be real tough to beat there in Stillwater.
Yeah, one note on the Red Raiders. It's kind of like they kind of flipped the script. Last week, the defense struggled a lot, and we thought the defense was going to be the strong suit. So interesting to see another big-time offense and see if the defense has a chance to redeem themselves.
See if Taylor Cornelius can step up in Big 12 play.
Yeah. And looking at West Virginia, they got Kansas State coming in, and that's going to be a tough game. And Kansas State, they're always well coached. Special teams is going to be there. They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot. So, and West Virginia coming off basically a bye week. So they might be a little rusty, might have to shake off some of the rust against Kansas State, and we'll see if they can get it going.
Another big-time game. TCU is going to be playing at Texas this week. We'll see. It's going to be whether TCU can bounce back from their loss, or we're going to see if Texas can, if they're going to be for real here in the Big 12. I'm looking forward to see these two young quarterbacks go against each other and see how these defenses match up, and I think it'll be a real good game over there in Austin.
And next we have the battle of the, I don't know if you want to call it the surprise teams of the Big 12 or the teams that are just trying to prove the critics wrong. It's Kansas and Baylor. And it's not what you would normally think. Baylor's not favored to win by a lot of points. And so Baylor's got a tough draw in their hands, and it'll be really interesting to see who comes out with that win.
And that rushing attack for Kansas, they've really looked solid. It's just whether you can make those throws in those 3rd and long situations, or whether this Kansas offense can get rolling against the Bears. Iowa State's going to be hosting Akron. Hopefully, be able to get their first win on the board. I mean, you can't be looking past some of these non-conference games. Iowa State has struggled a lot. I'm sure their confidence is down. And Akron's a team that's 2-0, and they had 2 very solid wins. But I expect Iowa State to bounce back and win pretty handily, and so they'll get on the board with their first win of the season.
Yeah, they really need that game. Otherwise, they're looking at 0-3 with a conference loss already. That's almost approaching the point of no return for the Cyclones.
Well, we'll look back at our Week 3 picks. We both went 2-1 last week. I couldn't get Arizona State to pull out another one for me. But this week here in Week 4, I'm going to take with my first pick, I'm going to take TCU favored by 3 at Texas. I just don't think there's any way that TCU wins that game by 3 or less, or even Texas can pull off the upset. I think TCU bounces back big time from Ohio State and wins that game by at least 14.
And with my pick, I got to stay rolling with the Tide. They've 2 weeks in a row they've covered for me, and they got A&M coming into Tuscaloosa. And A&M did some good things against Clemson, but kind of think they might be living off that a little too much, kind of putting too much weight in that game. I think Alabama is the real deal, bona fide best team in the country, and I think they take care of the Aggies pretty easily.
I'm going to go out to Purdue. I'm not going to pick Purdue, but I'm going to take Boston College favored by 6.5 at Purdue. I just think Boston College is a real solid team. Purdue struggled all year. They're winless. Boston College is 3-0. I think they win that game by at least a touchdown and cover for me.
And with my pick, I'm going to go to the ACC and take Notre Dame. Well, actually, Notre Dame's independent. But I think Notre Dame going into Wake Forest favored by 7.5. I think they're going to cover. And I know Notre Dame, they've looked pretty sloppy these last 2 weeks. Teams that they should have handled better. But that's exactly why I'm picking them. I don't think that they played 3 weeks in a row of subpar football. So I think Notre Dame goes in there and gets the win, probably double digits.
I'm going to go a little dangerous. I'm going to take Mississippi State favored by 10 points against Kentucky, who's got a lot of confidence built up in their team. I just think Mississippi State overall is a way better team than Kentucky. There's going to be some fight in that game. It's going to be pretty close, but I think Mississippi State pulls it out.
And with my last pick, I'm going to stay here in the Big 12 and take the Sooners. And they're taking on Army, as we mentioned earlier. 31-point favorites. I just don't see how Army's going to be able to slow down Kyler Murray. And I think with the athletes they have on defense, I think they'll be able to get coached up this week and be able to stop that triple option attack.
Well, next week we'll look at our first almost full week of conference play. We'll see how these teams fared and where the standings fall. We'll see how we did picking against the line. And I guess we'll see you next Wednesday. This is Two Guys, One Sport. Thanks for watching.